Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to LegalBiz Cafe. I am your host, attorney Shaune B. Listen, I'm excited to be here with you today talking about how to do the difficult. We're going to get through those things that are just putting themselves as obstacles in your path, and we are going to eradicate them. We're going to get you moving towards your goal. But first, I want to do a little bit of housekeeping. I want to make sure that you are aware of what we are doing here on LegalBiz Cafe. We are dealing with your mindset as an entrepreneur. See, I am a business attorney and business growth strategist. When I'm dealing with my clients, so often I find they have mindset issues that are causing them so much pain and keeping them from actually starting, building, or fixing the business of their dreams. And so I deal with those mindset issues right here on LegalBiz Cafe. I also have a different show that I want to invite you to listen to, and that show is called Your Business Accelerated. On that program, we deal with those hardcore legal and business issues that also stop you as an entrepreneur and keep you from starting, building, or fixing a business that you will absolutely love. So if you listen to LegalBiz Cafe and Your Business Accelerated, you are dealing with both sides of your brain, the right side and the left side, the upside and the downside, the inside and the outside. You're dealing with the whole enchilada. I encourage you to follow me on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter X. In those places, you can reach me at Shaune.Arnold. And if you really, really, really need to call me and talk to me directly, please feel free to do so. You can reach me at 213-718-3468. So we're going to do the do right now. We're dealing with the difficult. Life. It would be so much better if everything was easy, right? We could just walk around with an easy button in our pocket and just pull it out and slam our hand down on it every time we get something that gives us that gross feeling inside or that creates some difficulties that we have to then surmount. Some things are simply difficult. When they're easy, you don't even have to think about them. They're probably easy because you actually enjoy them. But the things that we don't enjoy can often be difficult for us. It's something that we just have to deal with in our business because so often we have to do things that we don't want to do in order to start, build, or fix a fabulous business. I'm going to give you some tips in this episode on doing the do when things get difficult. The first thing that I would love for you to consider is to do the hard stuff first. If you have a series of things that you need to do, a series of difficult tasks, and some of them might be a little bit easier, I encourage you to take on the harder tasks first, because your energy is high at that point. Your head is clear at that point, and you have more courage. You have more resilience at that point. Once you get the difficult things done, then you can look forward to doing something that's easier and more pleasurable. So pluck up your courage and tackle those hard things first rather than last, so that you can eliminate your heavy lifting and you can eliminate that heavy emotional toll of constantly having the difficult tasks on the back of your mind while you're doing those things that are easier. My next suggestion for you is that you rehearse if you have to do something that is really difficult. By rehearsing, you prepare for the task. You can alleviate a lot of anxiety by just doing some pre-running of the tasks in advance. Do as much research as you can about the subject matter in advance. Talk to people who have been there and who have dealt with this situation. Here's another tip. See what you can do to actually physically write out a plan of action to deal with the hard stuff, the difficult stuff. What can you do? Ask yourself some very powerful questions. You know, I love those powerful questions on how to do the do. When doing the do is difficult, Also, I love it when you reach out to other people and ask for help. Reach out to mentors, reach out to friends who you think have experience in this area. Ask them for guidance. Ask them what they think about the situation. Run your thinking past them so you can start to get an idea of where your thinking is not correct or where your thinking is just stinking. By doing these things, you can reorient yourself to consider new perspectives. It's very, very important to ask people for their knowledge, for their wisdom, for the right answers when you have a problem. Here's also where you pray. Yes, ask God, your guides, or the universe for guidance when you don't know what to do. Ask everyone whose opinion you trust. Don't stop asking until you get the help you need. Also, friends, I encourage you to change your mindset. Start thinking the task that you have to complete is actually easy. Start thinking in terms of all the ways that it's going to work out for you. Because when you do those things, you take that emotional charge out of whatever it is that you have to do. Sometimes it helps to just trick yourself. You're starting with the assumption that what you're doing is actually easier than you think it will be. If you put yourself in that mindset, you will find yourself actually supporting yourself in dealing with these difficult situations. Use your imagination and trick yourself into believing that the task is actually easy. Most of the time we worry ourselves into thinking that things are more difficult than they actually turn out to be. We can worry ourselves into a corner. If you are a worrywart, I encourage you to start tricking yourself into believing there are no worries, that everything is going to work out exactly the way you need it to work out, and exactly when you need it to work out. Trick your mind. You can do that. It's easy. Now, here's another tip for you. It's another way of actually tricking your mind. It's a way of getting you out of that worry. Do not anticipate conflict when you are doing that difficult task. See, when you anticipate conflict, when you anticipate difficulties, when you worry, you actually draw those things to you. As I'm driving down the freeway, I often see people sort of weaving in and out of traffic. So here, I often find if I sit back and just sort of watch these people as they're cutting other people off in traffic, that they don't get too far down the road before someone cuts them off in traffic. And I say to myself, honey, you drew that energy to you. And then there's this big fisticuffing between those two cars as ego meets ego. We all know that two egos cannot occupy the same space at the same time, right? That's just physics. So be aware of what you are drawing to you. If you are worrying, if you are anticipating problems, you are going to create those problems in your life and in your business. Instead, anticipate smooth sailing all the way, and you will be amazed at how you can actually just rearrange the universe. The laws of the universe will begin to bend in your direction, and they will conspire to operate on your behalf. My last tip for you this episode is to take your emotions out of the task. So often, when things are difficult for us to do, it's because we start getting really tight emotionally. We start listing all the limiting beliefs that we have in our head with respect to this difficult situation. We start amplifying any fears we have regarding the task. We give these things life. We literally breathe life into them, and they get bigger. They take over, and they become insurmountable. Here's the key. Eliminate the dread. Eliminate the fear. Eliminate the negative emotions and past traumas that are making whatever it is that you're facing more difficult and more unpleasant. When you get caught up in these negative emotions, you draw even more of the same negative emotions to you. You draw the obstacles to you. I encourage you to do this by taking a step back from the situation and looking at it with new eyes. Remember, we discussed outside resources that you can tap into when you are feeling overwhelmed by the situation. These resources will help you figure out a way to take that emotion, that charge, out of the situation. They will help you concentrate instead on how easy it's going to be. In that way, again, you sort of trick your mind into believing that the task is easy, that there is no fear, that there's no reason for the fear or the limiting belief. There's no reason for the dread. There's no reason for the negative emotions because the task is simply not difficult. It is simply not unpleasant. You will begin to attract positive energy around that task instead of negative energy. Above all, do your homework and be prepared. Stay ready so you don't have to get ready. That will help you alleviate a lot of the difficulty in the task ahead. Folks, I want to thank you so much for joining me on this week's episode of LegalBiz Cafe. I am your host, attorney Shaune Arnold, reminding you, as always, to maximize your competence to get the confidence you need to succeed. I'll see you next week right here on LegalBiz Cafe. Bye-bye, folks.